Hello, I'm Lihao and welcome back. We've been building client-side routing libraries in the past few videos. If this is the first video you are watching, well, I've added the links to the entire playlist in the description below so that you can watch them. Just a quick recap on what we have done so far. We've able to do route matching. And in the past few videos, we've been focusing on working on a dynamic parameters matching. And in this video, as we have kind of previewed about it in the last one, we mentioned that we're going to work on the rest parameters. Basically, a parameter that can match as many route sections as possible. And that value itself is going to be an array rather than just a string. So we're going to see at how we can do this. How can change the existing code to have that behavior? Sorry to jump in, but I got an important thing to tell you, which is that if you're following along, coding along with me, the code for all this is on the GitHub repo. Link in the description. Just follow along. If you miss any steps, each changes are in individual commits. So you can just check out that commit and take a look at what you are missing. Now follow along. So if you pay attention on the last video, when we fix our regular expressions, actually you notice that if we are using a dot to match the whole thing, the whole section, then it will match as many route section as possible. So regular expressions, when you have a wildcard like a dot, is actually greedy. It's actually trying to match as many things as possible. So if I want to have a route that is like, say, A, and then I can have A1, A12, A123, A1234. In this case, my URL pattern that I can write is to have A, and then a dot plus that tells me that I can match however many route segments that I want to. And I'm gonna name it res for now. So this, when you define it, it looks something like this. In svelte-kit, it looks probably something like this, where this segment can match as many segments as possible, and this segment and then the value of that, the match parameter, is going to be an array which is split by the slash character, right? So in this case, for this, the rest will be 1, 2, 3, 4, because they are all strings. Okay, so that is what we are going to do over here in this video when we're going to support this. Wait, and actually this just works, right? Let's see. Let's have a routes component called rest. This is the rest. Let rest. Let's stringify this rest. Let's take a look at what we have. What is the value of rest? And this is the rest component. Save this. And now we can have A, 1, 2, 3, 4. And this whole thing is a string, which is a bit disappointing. We want it to be an array. So I guess there's something to work on to convert this to an array. It's not that too hard, right? You just split by this character. But for that, how do we know whether the capturing group, the group that we just capture, is a rest parameters? We can't really know we can know by looking at it, by eyes. Look at the regular expressions. We know that this matching is because it uses a dot, so it's a rest parameters. But in code, you can't really know unless you convert it in a string and then maybe do some parsing and then figure out actually the capturing group uses a dot rather than a bracket or stuff like that. So, or maybe you check maybe the match value. If it contains a slash, then it's a rest parameter. But that's incorrect, because you can also match one like this, and this also has to be an array, right? When you use rest all the segments will be an array. So even if you have only one segment, that will be in the array as well. And I believe this should work as well when you have a rest parameters. It can be 0 to as many. So our regular expressions is not that correct as well. Let's see. I believe we need to remove this thing, like remove this slash like this. Hold on. Let's see. I think we'll have to change slightly, right? So let's go back to our regular expressions. I'm gonna fix the case where this can match as many or 0, right? So okay, one thing at a time first. So first thing is we're gonna convert this parameters to an array. Secondly, we need to do is to able to match 0 segments, which is this routes, this thing. This should also match should also match, and then the rest value will be an empty array. So let's get our hands down and try to work on this. Right. First thing is, as I mentioned, there's no way you can know, and params here, there's no way you can deduce this from the regular expressions as well as the value of the parameters, right? We've established that. So the next thing is we probably will have to have another flag like this, like params is rest, and then this returns true. And then for other case, you have to return false, or maybe any falsy value which is undefined to signify that this parameters itself is a rest parameters, and you should convert it to an array. And you do notice this pattern where we keep creating new parameters when a parameter itself has more feature, right? It supports matching. If it supports rest, you need to convert, or all these things, right? So in that case, I feel like we should just take these parameters and convert, and not just store it as a string, but have an object so that it has different fields, different optional fields to do certain things, right? So here I'm gonna go to the TypeScript definition and change this right now. So params right now is gonna be an array of, firstly, it's the name itself is a string. It's required. It has to have a name. And then the matching function is this function that we just saw, but it's optional. And then we're gonna have another thing called the rest, which is a boolean, which is an optional. Right, so now total you see this name, matching, and rest, so that we can remove any other parameter name fields, so that it makes it more compact, right? Because it's sometimes you have empty array have nothing, but here it's more compact, this written this way, right? You have name, and if it's rest, I think it's called rest, true. And for other case, you don't have to specify. If you don't have anything, then you don't have to specify them, right? So here I have the name is this one. Yeah, so for this one does not have matching, then you don't even need to create that params matching array. This will do. Here I'm gonna change this to name as well. Sorry. Let's see. Then copy this too as part of the matching. Whoops. Let's clean this up. Let's remove this. Right here, we have to change to name. We don't need this. We don't need this anymore. It's much compact this way, right? So here, of course, we have to change our code to use params.name instead of params.name instead now. So I'm going to go to our routing library where we match our routes. Here we are looping through the parameters. So you're gonna have the matching, we have the name. Sorry, let me type name first. Name matching, and it's res from the route params I. Right, you have the name, matching, and res. So name over here, let's rename to this variable. Assign to this variable, param name. And this function itself is actually from here. Right. And then lastly, our rest is the param is res. So one thing to do before, so we have our value, we combine checking route matching, and here before we end it, we can actually come over here and say if param is res, then param value will have to split by an array, split into an array by the slash value. Right, so this has to be a let so that we can modify the value later on. This will be a string. TypeScript will complain, but let's just maybe just do it this way. Param is res, then param.split value. Then since the definition of params is any, then it does not really care, right? So it looks like this right now, right? Params is res, and you split an array and you value, right? Yep, let's take a look at our results. So here we have our A1, then this is an array now, that's good. If 1, 2, 3, then we have an array of 3 items, right? And we can have as many, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then is an array of 9 items, right? Then lastly, we want to also support this A or this without a slash, that it says that array has to be matching to 0 item, array of empty array. But now this is not matching because the regular expressions that we have does not match to this. So we have to figure out how we can write our regular expression so that it matches 0 item as well. We can remove this, but it's not really correct, because if you take a look at it here, we can have A, B, A1, 2, right? A few things that we want to match. If we're going to have this like this, if we are going to remove this, let me remove this. We're going to remove this, then hold on, this matches only 1, is it? Oh, because of this. So this will match, hold on, I think because of the start and end. Okay, yes. Because the tags, because in our test we want to match the starting and the ending, so we should have multiple tests instead of just one test. So in this case, you realize that if I remove this slash, the slash in between, then it actually can matches A, B, because B is the group that we just matched, which is not that correct, right? We want to, if it can be ending, but it also can be having it could be an ending group and end with an A, or it could also have start with a slash first, then match as many characters as it can. So here, which means that there's an OR case here, right? So A, if A ends here like this, it's okay. Or if A has this, it's okay as well. Right? So if it's an OR case, then we're gonna write it as OR. Right? So here we have hold on. Right? It's an OR. Right? Or this, or all this. And it does not match this. But if you come over here and have our code like pair it up like this, you realize that the group 1 is now this whole thing that we just matched. So we have 2 groups now instead of 1. It used to be only group number 2, which is this that does not start with a slash. And now we have 2 groups. So we have to change this group to a non-capturing group, which is like this with a question mark and a colon, so that it's non-matching, non-capturing. So it does match, it does group this whole thing and make it, this is still a group, but it's not capturing. So it's not part of a group that is eventually be. So we have the code that looks like this. Right, so here let's copy this and replace it over here instead. Right now, if we come over here and we try to refresh, this gives us undefined. Hold on, let me see. Name. Okay, the value is the match. Console log param value. It's undefined. Hold on. Let's see what's the match. So our match is that it is an array. It matches one thing and matches the thing, and then the value is undefined. There's no groups. There's first item is undefined. I'm not quite sure why we does. Okay, so here if it's if it's empty, then this is a empty value, right? So this one we have to fall back to an empty string, and then empty string split by a character, then you will still get the array, right? Actually, this one can be a constant now since we don't reassign it. And let's see, this is an empty array. This is also an empty array. So we managed to match also 0 item, 1 item, 2 item, 2 segments, 3 segments, and however many segments that we want to. Right, so just want to quick check if we are still correct. If we have something else over here like a B, then here this will still match, and then your B, the capturing group is just 1, 2, 3, and you can still have more capturing groups like this. Right, like this. And basically this is what we're looking for, right? For matching 0 to more, to have a slash, or to have a slash, at least a slash in between, in front if you want to have more things, and not capturing like things like A, B like this, right? So I guess that's it for this video. We've managed to capture rest parameters and convert it to an array. We have still come back to our old routes like shop 1, 2, 3. This is still a string, this is still a value. But if you go to this is rest parameters, it converts to an array. Managed to do that, then good job. So what's next? I think we are quite done with dynamic parameters. Good job for you. A pat in the back. Great that you have stayed so far. Now the next thing we're gonna focus on is a layouts component. Sometimes some people call it nested routings, nested routes, layouts, routing. Yeah, you get the rough idea of what we have, right? That's what we're gonna work on in the next video.